All right, well, we're standing here right now, second day of InfoComm show in Orlando. I'm standing with Jim Nista, who runs a company called Insteo, very active in the social media and digital signage space, which is really, really cool because I'm glad we get a chance to talk about it. He was actually our neighbor at the CETW show back in April. We got an interview with him, as some of you may have seen. Jim, thanks again for stopping by and talking with us. It's great to see you again. First of all, we want to talk about social media and particularly Twitter. Twitter is something that we see. We use Twitter to launch out links and things like that when we have new articles and stuff, but for digital signage applications, you know, there's a lot of challenges that Twitter poses. So if you could kind of break it down a little bit and explain to us some of the things that you do to make it a little bit better, that would be awesome. So where do we even begin?
Sure. There's a ton of Twitter walls around a show like this, and any of these shows you see a ton of Twitter walls, and they're great. They kind of give you a live pulse of what's happening at a trade show like this. Well, the other thing they do is that they show everything. And they might be moderating for profanity, automatically moderating for profanity, but that's about it. And I don't know if you've seen Twitter, but it's its own language. Right. Everybody really looks at Twitter. A lot of people get confused when they first come to it because it's a bunch of keywords and hashtags and links and shortened links and a bunch of code. But every once in a while, there's a message that's a message. Somebody's actually saying something. And what we do with Twitter is we actually score every tweet that comes through. Okay. And we look at every tweet and we put a score against it, whether or not it's quality for a digital sign. We also look at positivity, negativity, look for words that kind of say this is a positive message, that's a long message that belongs on a digital sign. And we just take out everything else. So it's not just about profanity filtering.
Okay. So it's actually about making the content relevant that's going to be displayed on the sign and kind of limiting. So do you also limit some of the kind of Twitter speak that's out there too?
Exactly. And we're not allowed to actually, edit a tweet.
Right.
Twitter wants to keep that tweet the way the person originally wrote it. So all we can do is say yes or no to each tweet that might come through. But as we evaluate that tweet, we look at the message and see if it is relevant. It's not just about following a hashtag. So the Twitter walls we see here are following the InfoComm 11 hashtag, which is great. But I could put a message up there that's totally irrelevant to the show that just happens to have that hashtag in it. And we got to look at relevant keywords, relevant content to make sure that it actually has something to do with the trade show and isn't just spam. And so it's more, obviously more than just vaporizing spam, but it has to do with getting quality content up there that's relevant, makes sense to the audience.
Now, can you, does this all kind of happen in real time?
Yeah, we've tested some really, really active keywords, and we've done thousands and thousands a minute that are coming through. Now, that's the other problem with active keywords is they can generate thousands of tweets per second. You can't display on a Twitter wall thousands of tweets per second. So the other thing that we do is we pace it. So the last thing we ever want to do is throw out a tweet. But eventually they do get a little old and stale, especially if you're trying to do a live wall. So we'll look at something like 10, 20 tweets a minute as being a maximum, and really pick the best out of those 20, out of those 1,000, to get that 10 to 20 that are just the best out of that hour. So we'll actually remove duplicates, retweets, those kinds of things. When this, nobody wants to see the same message over and over again.
Sure. And now, one more question for you before we let you go. In your rating process for the tweets, does the person who's actually tweeting that, is that factored into it? Somebody who's reliably tweeting really good stuff is that factored into the equation, or is it simply tweet by tweet?
Yeah, now you're digging into the deep secrets of, yes. We do look at not just, a lot of these companies, they take a look at the number of followers. And, I could have 50,000 followers because I've followed a bunch of spam bots, right? I can invent 50,000 followers like that. So it's not just about the number of followers. It's the amount of impact they have, how often their tweets get retweeted, and those types of factors that give us that add to that score. So if you've got a guy who's an industry veteran who says good job, the scoring on that good job is going to be really low. But because that person is an industry veteran and they're actually tweeting actively and they're followed actively and they're retweeted actively, they're going to get boosted up in the score, and their message might actually make it on the screen.
Sure. Okay, great. Well, Jim, this is really, really exciting stuff. Glad to see somebody that's kind of figuring out how to make this stuff work and make it relevant for digital signage. So we look forward to a lot of good news in the future.
Well, thank you.